Hello, teacher. My name is Bianca Puchalski, and for this activity, we have to record a video. So I'm going to start sharing my screen right now. So for this activity, we have to study the language assessment principles. That, of course, is one of the objectives, study the 5 principles of language assessment, and then analyze an activity and see if this activity considers these five principles. So the activity says that this biology teacher presents a statement and he sees if students are correct or incorrect when they put their thumbs like this up or down if it's true or false. Depending on the students that are incorrect, he might ask students to present arguments for both sides or to discuss concepts further. Um, or maybe if these things do not work, maybe this teacher would apply a different approach or methodology to teach these statements or concepts. Oh, I'm sorry. So these are the 5 principles. We have practicality, reliability, validity. We have authenticity and washback. For practicality, we have that the activity was low cost. I don't see any material used in this activity, but that might be um, a negative aspect because sometimes resources are an excellent complement to an activity to reinforce a concept. And in this case, there is no use of resources. So maybe one simple thing like um, Padlets with true or false things that indicate that they are against or they agree with a topic, maybe even a dialogue, a discussion planning worksheet might work for this kind of activities. For reliability, I can see that there is consistency between the content and task. So the statement, arguments, discussions, these three um, these 3 words, let's say, they are related. So there is consistency, but there is no rubric or checklist. So there's no way students can know what the teacher expects from them. And when there are no further instructions or checklists for this kind of activities, it could be ambiguous. For example, present arguments. I think it is too wide, so there there might be a necessity to explain, give more instructions, and maybe, of course, a checklist or a rubric. According to validity, it offers information about students' abilities because the students are discussing and they are arguing about statements and concepts. But is the teacher trying to measure concepts, statements, or argumentative skills? The teacher must have this clear. About authenticity, items are isolated. For example, in the activity, it says that the teacher shares statements. So there are no real problems or maybe no further explanations, no further information or something to work on. It's just statements. Topics could be relevant and interesting. Biology tends to be a subject that can be interesting if the teacher approaches or teaches it in an interesting way. But the task is not really related to their knowledge of the world. As I said, items are isolated, so maybe using these statements as a problem that they have to solve to give a real solution to a real problem might be more positive for students. And as for washback, it offers students an opportunity to prepare themselves, for example, to argue, to discuss concepts, to defend their opinion. It is formative. It is definitely formative. It does not need to be summative. And learners are involved in performance because they have to speak, they have to argue, as I said. And as we know, these are desirable words that we have to use in our objectives. They are in the Bloom's taxonomy, and according to some principles of teaching, we have to apply these words in our objectives and within our activities throughout the lesson. So, as a conclusion, in my opinion, I can say that this might be a good formative activity, but it must be more related to their knowledge of the word, the students' knowledge of the word. That is one aspect I could mention. Number two, there should be the presence of resources, physical resources, things that students can touch, can feel, maybe something that is authentic, also authentic, and that students feel that they can use when getting in touch with, for example, native speakers in another country. And also, maybe one aspect that could be taken into account is the use of a checklist or a rubric. It is a good idea always that students know what the teacher expects from them. So I think these three aspects could be taken into account to have a more complete, more reliable, more valid, authentic activity. Of course, with the effect of washback, and also that is practical. Of course, it does not need to be expensive when using resources. We can always use recycled materials and little things just to make sure that students are using things to complement, to using real things, even realia, to complement the content of the subject. So that's been it. I just want to say thank you so much for providing this opportunity to learn. I think it was a good idea, not only to study the principles, but also to analyze this activity to see if these principles were considered. Thank you so much, teacher, also for your attention, and see you next time in another activity.